I'm the cat toy lady. So today I'm going a bit big. This is kind of a personal project for me. It's not one that I necessarily imagine everyone trying to build. It may help you though if you have a similar space that you'd like to work with. So what I'm building today is a giant castle for a cat. It's a cat climber that can also be for my daughter as a dollhouse. We have recently moved her into a new room. It has an awkward window that the cats keep trying to get into. It's 5 foot 10 inches up is where the window starts, and it runs for like 4 feet. The cats keep trying to go from the dresser all the way up to the window. They are scratching up the wall. They are making a mess. Granted, we still need to paint the room so we can fix those things, but I want to make a cat climber that goes all the way up to that window that my daughter can actually play with since it's going to be in her room. So I started with a quick sketch. I'm going to do things like working drawbridge, balconies and doors, because what little girl doesn't like to shut the doors on a dollhouse? On one side it's going to be fixed with hinges on the wall, and the other side is going to Velcro to be able to keep it attached and upright, but she can swing it open and play with the inside of it like she would a dollhouse. So here you can kind of see what things are going to look like on the back side. The bigger the project, the more planning you need to do. You don't want to waste your money and you don't want to waste your time. I am using foam board again today, so you can pick what you want to use. If you want cardboard or if you want foam board, plan accordingly. This is going to go together like a big puzzle. I'm going to cut up all the pieces, get everything measured and cut. That way I can put it all together all at once. And once it's all together, I'm going to paint it to make it look like a castle. This video is going to be a little different because I know you're not going to need my exact measurements all the time. I'll give you a brief idea of what I'm doing and the measurements, but you don't need all the detail that goes into this. Let's get started. The first part I'm cutting out is going to be the shelves that run across on each level. They're going to be 2 thick and they're going to be staggered. If you can kind of see down here, one piece is going to be 30 inches, the other is 20 long, and then on the bottom I'm going to switch that around to where the seams don't meet up. That'll help give some stability. So find your middle and cut straight down the middle long ways. I am doing 2 sheets at one time. Line it all up and cut. Voila! Now with 2 of the pieces, we're going to cut them down to 20 inches instead of 30. Save these pieces. You're going to use them again in just a little bit. We're now going to glue them together into a shelf, remembering to stagger the seams. I will put my 30-inch piece overlapping and then my 20-inch piece down this way. And make sure when you're using a glue gun that you're using the low temp glue gun. If you use high temp on foam board, it just puffs up and ruins your foam board. So don't use it. It doesn't take a ton of glue. Now press it firmly together. I did put a line of glue right at that seam just to help the pieces stick together, and then connect them together. There you go, we have our reinforced shelf. Now do this 3 more times. I've got all 4 of the shelves done. If you can see here where I have holes, I'm going to go ahead and cut those out. I'm going to do 7-inch holes. First hole I'm going to do is that centered one. So I'm going to find the exact center in between these. I put my push pin in that center spot I found. And now I'm going to draw my circle. Nice 7-inch circle. Now cut it out. Huh. So after looking at this, I'm going to start this next piece 5 inches away right here. I'm going to do the exact same thing on the opposite side, 5 inches away here and 5 inches away here. There we go. For the bottom layer, I don't need to make it double thick, so I'm just going to take 1 sheet, cut it in half, cut one of those halves to 20 inches again like we did here. Then I'm going to use some clear tape to adhere the 2 of them together. I'm doing this a couple pieces at a time, that way I can make sure to keep it nice and lined up and tight. go. There we go. Alright, now I can really tape it. I am actually going to tape all the way off. That way I can wrap it around nice and tight. And then flip. Pull the foam off. There we go. And then the other side, I'm going to do that same thing where I wrap it. There's our bottom piece. So that's just going to help it glide back and forth easily on the carpet when my daughter wants to be able to play with it as a dollhouse. The last piece I'm going to work on is this little shelf right here that'll be up in the roof where it will open up to the window. I need to go ahead and cut and double layer that too. We're going to cut this in half long ways again, just like we did with the other pieces. Now cut them both to 20 inches. Glue them together. Let it cool, then cut a 7-inch circle in the very middle. Now we're going to start working on the front. The two side sections are 15 inches wide and 2 foam boards, which is 30 inches tall. So let's cut 4 foam boards, 15 inches. Now we're going to work on the windows. We are going to find the exact middle and make a 1-inch band down the middle. Then we'll do the same thing running the opposite direction going up and down. That's going to be our window frame on the inside. And our window will end up being 5 inches by 10 inches tall. I was going to make it 5 inches, but seeing it in person, it seems a little narrow for what I want. So I'm going to change it and make it 6 inches across. We have a window. I'm going to do this to one other sheet. The side walls are going to be 10 inches deep, just like the shelves. So we're going to take 2 pieces of foam board, cut them in half, and that will give us 2 to be able to stack on top of each other. We're going to tape 2 pieces together, long ways, but only put tape on one side. That way the outside of it's still going to be easily painted. Since I'm collecting all the pieces to put together into a pile, I'm going to go ahead and take 2 uncut sheets that will be the center and put them in the pile too. This piece is going to be that very top tower. It's going to be the full 20 inches across, but 15 inches tall. We are going to cut out an 8-inch wide by 10-inch tall hole on one side. I think I want to add a railing. One to kind of discourage the cat from going out. This is going to be up too high for my daughter to be able to reach. So I'm going to put a railing on here that'll be for the door. And then when I go to decorate it, I'm going to put some curtains in the way that will kind of discourage the cat from trying to go out the door and more just have it as a window to peek through. Let's see, we're going to go 2.5 inches up. We are going to make a railing all the way across. So let's go ahead and cut out the center piece and then work on our railing. We are going to drop down 1/2 inch from that top hole that we cut and make some little marks. That'll be our guide. I'm going to make some little spindles for our railing. And I'm going to not do the bottom 1/2 inch either like I did on the top railing. Cut out the railing. We have a princess balcony with a railing. So when I cut the 15-inch pieces for the front side pieces, we had 5-inch strips left behind. We are going to use these for help with making supports. We're going to take these, and remember they're 5 inches wide at the 3-inch or the 2-inch, whatever you want, spot. Make a mark on each side. Then we are going to lightly score through this top piece of paper and make a line so we can have a spot where this will bend. We're going to do it on 2 pieces at a time. When you do this, do not cut all the way through. We are just barely cutting through that top piece of paper on top. So you're going to be able to snap it and fold it, leaving one side still attached. And we're going to tape these 2 pieces together, making a square, and that'll be part of one of your supports. We're going to put the long sides opposite of each other, and we're going to end up making a box out of them. Easiest way to do this is to lay it out flat, making sure that you're putting your 3-inch, then 2-inch, 3-inch, then 2-inch pieces in that order. Then you're going to tape them tightly together, making sure everything lines up right. One end, and then go to the opposite end. bumping it, making sure again it's tight together. And then run a piece of tape all the way down on the inside. Creases are on the outside. The parts that you cut through lightly will be on the bottom. All right, now that you did that and they're connected in one big sheet, you are going to use your tape sticky side down, going along the edge that's closest to you. So you're gonna have half the tape on the paper and half the tape off. Then take this piece, fold it over, and then you're going to close this like you would a door, 2 doors. And that is how you get it to connect together and become one solid piece. Do that to the other 2 pieces you already had. Grab another whole piece. We're going to be cutting it in half again, which gives us 2 10-inch wide pieces. So go ahead and cut this. On these 2 pieces, you're going to mark 3 inches, then 2 inches, 3 inches, then 2 inches. It's going to basically end up the same as if this wasn't in half already. And once you get your marks, you're going to score it lightly through the top layer again, just like you did on this piece. Once you know that it folds in all the right places, we're going to run a piece of tape on this seam that's closest to us, again with half the tape on the paper, half the tape off. Now, you're going to close just one fold of it, and close the opposite side, and close it down just like you did when you were making the other pieces. And there you go. Do that to the last piece. Remember this piece? And when you first cut it, you had another piece left over. That's what you're going to use for this next part. It's 15 inches tall and 20 inches wide. We are going to cut it in half and make 2 more of these. That will only be 15 inches tall. Go ahead and do that. Now some of the fun part. We are going to be stacking the 2 bigger pieces on top of each other, and then one of the 15-inch pieces. And I'll show you how I'm going to tape it. I have about 4-inch pieces that I have cut. I'm going to make sure that everything lines up nice and evenly and snugly, firmly pressed together. And I'm going to put my tape long ways, right down the middle. Then I'm going to flip it over, making sure that my sides stay aligned too, and tape the other side. Now go ahead and do your side pieces. And now they're taped together. I am going to tape all the way around, slowly spiraling it up the pole. So I'm starting probably around 4 inches below it. I'm reinforcing at the joint just because we're going to end up cutting into it, and I want to make sure that there's as much tape to keep it secure as possible. Now tape on that 15-inch piece. There you go. So make a second column with the other 3 pieces. So even though I've been planning this for a couple days, last minute I realized maybe the doors that open and shut are a little too high. My daughter is going to want to play with them. And being on this top level here is going to be just out of her reach. So I'm going to make these down here and get everything set up once it's fully assembled. So the center window I'm scratching for right now. I need to make little notches at the back because we have a baseboard that runs along. That way this can sit flush up against the wall. So I'm going to cut a 4-inch tall by 1-inch deep groove into these back corner pieces, making sure that the tape is facing itself. That way I'm getting it in the right spot. This will be the back side that runs up against the wall. Okay, so let's get the drawbridge going. One of those solid pieces you put to the side that was for the very middle front, we're going to use that. And we need to go ahead and center an 8-inch by 12-inch tall rectangle. So we have our rectangle, and we need to find 4 inches down from the top, centered. We are going to use that same circle technique that we did before, but we're going to do it 4 inches apart. That way we can make an 8-inch circle. Really, we're just doing part of a circle. Stick your push pin in that spot that you just found 4 inches down, and your pencil in. And we are going to make the top arc of our drawbridge. So I'm getting rid of my top points on here, and I am going to cut out the shape that we just made. So here we go. We have our drawbridge door and our drawbridge. To be able to make sure that the drawbridge, because it's no longer attached, can't go farther into the castle, on the back side, I have a wooden skewer. You know, like for barbecuing. And I'm going to glue it to the back at the bottom. It is going to be your stopper for your door. We need a way to make the drawbridge to be able to pull up to close and to stay where it needs to be when it opens up. So to make it stay in its place, I'm going to take some of my junk foam board and I'm going to cut 1/2 inch by 1.5 inch pieces. 2 of them. 2 of them. These little pieces that we just cut are going to be glued on the front, and they're going to act as stoppers when the door is shut. And our chains that we are making to be able to pull the door shut are going to attach right to those pieces. So I'm going to glue these centered at 8.5 inches with 1/2 inch glued onto the door and 1 inch sticking out. It's okay if a little of the glue shows. We're going to be painting it. Fit everything back together, and you're going to outline where those tabs are so you know where to line things up. So now we're going to be a little crafty with our tape. For the chain that I am making, I'm using my white duct tape. I don't want any of my cats to be able to chew through it too easily. So we are taking a 13-inch strip, or thereabouts, and we are going to fold it over about 1/4 of it. It's easiest to set this down. There we go. And then we're going to fold it over again on that edge, basically making 1/2 piece of tape now, and then doing that again. So do this one more time. Right here centered, we're going to make a little hole. And it's going to be tall enough for the tape, so here are the holes. This will go through here and connect down to here. So to connect to here, I have 1-inch brass fasteners. You know, like the little notebook pieces that are 2 pieces that come apart that you can spread down. We are going to make a little hole in the end of here. You can see here for the brass fastener to go through. And then this piece is going to be fed sideways, keeping it centered into this piece. There we go. That way it can move as the door needs to. Do that again to the other side. And they fit pretty snug, so I'm not going to try to use glue, that way it doesn't inhibit any motion. Then stick it through the hole on both sides. Then I'm going to take another junk piece that I have, and I'm just going to make a 1-inch by 1/2 inch piece of it, 2 of them. This is going to get glued on as a tab, that way the pieces can't be pulled through. Down here at the inside of the door, I'm just going to do a faint line that's the same height as the stick and just barely score through right there. And I'm going to glue the very base down to the stick. Now I'm going to run glue right underneath on that little strip we just made and glue the stick into place. So we have our drawbridge. Let me pull both pieces at once. As you can see, our drawbridge closes. It opens back up. Works pretty well. Okay, I know it's a lot of pieces. I hope this is the biggest thing I ever do. So you may have had a thought at some point with the shelves of what's going to stop them from falling. We are now going to make supports. Remember all those little pieces that you saved and put to the side that were 10 inches by 10 inches? We are now going to use those and make supports to go all along for the shelves. And we're going to be making supports that are shaped like a triangle. It's going to end up being 1 3/8 for 2 of the sides of the triangle, and the last third one will be 1 15/16. These big supports that we already made, we're going to be making it very similar, but instead of 4 sides, it'll be 3 sides. and one of the corners needs to be a 90°. So this is what we have. We're going to do the bend and the bend. And then we have, when our pieces meet, a right angle that we need is take your tape, run it along one side with about 1/2 inch on your shorter piece. Secure that on. And then we are going to fold them together, making sure these inner edges are what meet. Going to be easiest to set it down to keep it in place. It's important that the majority of your tape, because it's a wider tape, is on that biggest piece. The best bonding that you're going to get for the glue is paper to paper, not the tape touching with the paper. So when you're doing this, you're going to make sure that that tape is always running along the top. You want your best bonding on that back wall for support. Go ahead and do this to the rest of the pieces that you have. Oy vey, the pile is done. Alright, we are on to the last step of assembling pieces before we start putting it together like a giant puzzle. We're going to make 2 lines that are 1/2 inch apart, going around 3 of the sides. We're going to do it centered every 15 inches. So you're going to do that on one 2-inch side and both of the 3-inch sides. On the bars that you've already made, you're going to measure 1 inch from that top seam, this top piece. And once you measure, just make a line connecting the dots. Go all the way down doing that too. On the opposite side, paying attention to where you have that 1-inch spot, you're going to keep that line and the 1-inch spot on the same side, making sure to go around the back, measure 1 inch from this side, all the way down. Now we're going to start cutting on this. Do not cut within that 1-inch section or your blank section. You're going to cut out that 2 inches, 2 inches, and 2 inches, all the way around on all 4 spots. Repeat this on the other pole that you made. So for this next part, I made myself a template. I took one of those circles that we had cut out before that was trash and just cut a flat side to it. And then you can see here, I've made some grooves. And I'm going to trace this at the 15-inch mark from each side on the shelves that we made. And I have a center point right here that'll help me line this up. I'll show you what I'm doing. Okay, so grab a shelf and find 15 inches from one side. Then we're going to take our little template we have here, line up this line with the line underneath that you made for your 15-inch mark, and then just quickly trace the inside. Just like that. Then you're going to cut out that piece, like that. Then do it again on the other side. So now it's on both ends. You're going to do this to the 4 double thick shelves that you made. And remember, you have 3 that have side holes. Make sure one of those is facing the opposite direction of the other 2 as you're making these marks. That way you're able to stagger them back and forth. Oh, and on the bottom piece, that single layer, at the 15-inch marks, just like we did on the shelves, you're going to do 2.5 inches by 1.25 inches. But you don't have to worry about the rest on the inside. Just make it a rectangle. Do it on both sides. We're going to start at the beginning of the assembly. Find your 2 center pieces. They're going to get stacked one on top of the other. Flip them over face down. We're going to run tape straight down, but only on the back side. Remember, tape doesn't paint easily. And for this, I'm going to do a couple different tapes. First, because I know my packing tape holds really well to this, I'm going to run some pieces long ways up and down to secure the pieces together. Now I'm going to be using my green painter's tape. If you have white masking tape, you can use that too. This has a better texture for glue to hold on to. And we are going to be running glue right up next to where we have the tape, so just in case it overlaps, I want the glue to be able to bond onto this tape that has some texture versus the shiny stuff that it's just going to peel right off of. Now we have our side pieces that go on each side of this. I'm going to put the window, one down at the bottom, and a blank up top, and tape it together just in the same way. Now take your centerpiece and one of your side pieces, and we are going to tape it together in the same way all up and down. Then I'm going to run one big piece all the way up that seam. Grab the other side piece and do the same thing again. Once you get this big boy together, you get to add your top piece to the center. Now set this bad boy up. I'm going to use the wall to prop it on. So I'm going to tape the sides on. I'm going to, basically the same way I did the pieces going across here. So I'm going to start at the bottom and work my way up. Now attach to the other side. On the back side up where the wall is going to sit, I made room for my baseboard on my 2 poles too. Let's start sliding the shelves in. The notches that we made are going to fit together like puzzle pieces. Just like that. I'm going to go ahead and place all the shelves on my pole before gluing anything, just to help keep everything aligned. Now it's time to start putting on the little triangle pieces. Remember, you want the tape on the top, not on the back side of the short pieces. I'm going to put one of these in the center on all the levels. Time to put that last piece on top. Put one more of these at the very top. So I have these pieces all through the middle already. I've gone ahead and tucked up here the placement of where I'm going to end up putting them. So if you see them on a shelf, they go right up above. I'm going to do side pieces and the back pieces, and then what I have left, I'm going to start filling in some other places. So everything's glued together. It's a little wobbly, but remember, it's going to be attached to the wall, so that's not a big deal. But the shelves are nice and sturdy, and I'm calling it a night. I'm going to come back tomorrow, and I'm going to decorate this bad boy and put on a roof. So I'm now on to day 2. I started doing a little bit of prep work this morning. I made a roof, which is 22 inches long. That way it'll hang over an inch on each side. And I have little stoppers, that way it can just sit on top and I can glue it into place up here. I'm going to put the roof on after I paint it. That's going to be a whole lot easier. I'm 5'2", not 6 feet. And just so you know the dimensions, it is 22 by 8 inches with a 30-degree triangle on the sides. And for up top, I've gone ahead and cut some pieces that are going to be the top of the brick walls. I'm going to paint these two before I glue them on. So after thinking overnight, I decided I'm going to put one balcony door in the center here, starting at the 3rd level if you look at the back. That way my daughter can still reach it. The door that I'm putting here is going to be 6 inches wide, so 2 3-inch doors, and 10 inches tall. So a nice skinny tall door. And I made myself a little template of the balcony that I want to try to put on here. The balcony is 10 inches long by 4 inches tall. It will allow the doors to open some, but not all the way. And on the back of my railing, I'm going to end up putting almost a hook. That way I can attach it through the wall and give it more of support. I am going to have underneath support. It'll just help with some stability. So I'm going to start cutting out my door and making the parts of my balcony. I went ahead and made my balcony just like my template. You can see I have little tabs that stick out. I'm going to end up making a hole for this bottom piece right here. Don't mind the gray fingers. So I'm going to make a tab right here to be able to stick it in. And then once these are in, I'm going to bend them backwards to help keep the balcony in. And then afterwards I'll put some supports. I've got my holes cut out in my balcony. Let's see if it fits. There we go, we have a balcony. When I cut the doors out, I'm not going to go all the way down to where the balcony starts because I want that reinforcement. So my doors are going to start 1/2 inch up from the balcony. I've cut my doors. I did that little cut down where I just barely cut through the paper on the back side, on the inside of the doors. That way they'll open up outward. Now it's time to start painting it to look like a castle. Took forever, but I had the bricks painted. My daughter wanted the door to the balcony pink. So that's what I'm going to do. I have little beads to use for doorknobs. Now it's just for the little details. I don't need to bore you with it. I'm going to paint some vines on and add some decor. And once I get into my daughter's room, then I'm going to put the roof on. Alright, so here we are. This is what it looks like. I put flowers all over it and painted vines. We have a door that opens and closes. I made curtains, and here's the roof we made. You can see the window, how high up it is against the ceiling. And I made 2 tabs. And yes, I know there's crayon on the wall. Like I said, we're about to redo the room and paint it. I use those Velcro command strips on this part to be able to slide open with the kitty cat holes, go up and down, all the way up to the ceiling, or to the roof. And then our tabs, which I have the heavy duty command strips holding them on for the hinges. That side will always stay attached to the wall. And this side with those Velcro strips will be the handles. You can see for the drawbridge from the other side, you pull the strings and that helps it pull back up in. Wow. So hopefully this inspires you to do something creative on your own. It may not be as big as a castle. It may be a mini version. But if you need some ideas, check out these videos. And don't forget, hit that subscribe button. So don't forget to make your cat into the pretty princess that they deserve to be. And if you make your human babies happy at the same time, bonus. Now go make your cat some toys.